The only reason we invest is to get income. Investment for income. That's the end game. Don't lose money. Protect the downside. You could bring me any investment and I will look at it first and go, how am I going to protect the downside? You must be tax efficient because the only number that I care about is the net number. How much am I going to end up with?
What one key piece of advice would you like to give to all the entrepreneurs, business owners watching and listening today?
Go and live that intentional life.
Hey, and welcome to another episode of the Business Growth Show. I'm your host, Ethan Cassiotis, and today I have a powerful guest. His name is Paul Siderovski. He is a strategist with heart, a teacher with results, and a leader dedicated to unlocking human potential. And for more than 30 years, he's helped people build real wealth in both their business and their lives. And his strength is in his experiential expertise with over $2 million invested in self-development and 2 decades in strategy and coaching. And Paul brings to the table a successful accounting, property development, and investment background. And he's the founder of Sidcore, EXP Capital, Otis Strategy, Fortuna Events, and Limitless X. And as an entrepreneur and wealth expert, he focuses on achieving sustainable growth and transforming lives. And his practical approach to strategy, coaching, and mentoring is based on real life experience, not just theory, and is dedicated to helping small to medium-sized business owners grow and achieve their potential. Welcome, Paul, and thank you for being on the Business Growth Show.
Thanks, Ethan. Great to be here and quite excited.
Yeah, definitely, mate. I'm sure it's going to be an amazing, impactful episode for everyone watching and listening today. And yeah, to get started, you are a very successful entrepreneur. For those people who don't know who you are, introduce yourself by telling us a little bit more about you and your journey.
Look, I'm born and bred in Newcastle, one of 3 brothers, the youngest. Married my high school sweetheart, Tina, have 4 beautiful kids and have an amazing life. You know, I was good at math. So what do you do when you're good at math? I did a commerce degree and then became an accountant and evolved from there and started my own business. And from accounting, it evolved into, property development and, doing the 50 house flips that I did back then. But then that evolved into land subdivisions, industrial land subdivisions, residential, shopping centers and large scale property in Newcastle. That's where our 90% of my property portfolio is. And from there, the coaching and strategy, for the last, like you said, 2 decades, I've been learning and applying it in my life. And then I wanted to help people, ease the suffering that business owners go through. So I look after 20 families where I help them in really the 3 pillars that I've broken down into in wealth, in their business, and then life. And life's broken down into their health, their relation, their love, their family, their friendships, their giving and their learning, and really getting balance and setting plans up for them for 2 to 3 to 4 decades and that intergenerational planning to pass on. So that's what lights me up. Don't get me wrong, Sidcore, the accounting business is where it all started, the foundation. But I've got a great CEO who runs the business. And the property is my passion. I love property because it's such a beautiful thing in Australia, and you get to create something and help people and create communities. But the one that lights me up is helping families ease the suffering, that suffering that they go through as a business owner, the suffering that they endure going, hey, I've got this identity that the business meets all their needs. So they've got this, hey, I've got to make money. Hey, I love this business, but I've got a partner at home. I've got kids at home. So this inner conflict that they go through, and how do I know? Because I've been through it. So I want to help, ease that, and I do that. I've got this process that guarantees their success, not linked to based on what social media is telling you or Instagram or whatever the loudest voice is of what we think, what we want. I'm making it about intentional living for them, having their playbook and their plan for them for the next, like I said, 2, 3, 4 decades, because I've done it for my family and passing it on. So that intergenerational piece. So yeah, so a little bit of background there. And mate, yeah, I love life. I give it all. I work hard. I play hard because we get one shot at this title. And I wake up every day and I'm blessed. And like you said, we get to choose how we live. So that's what I love doing.
Yeah, awesome, mate. I love it. And I've got similar, yeah, say, I always say work hard, play hard and stuff. I'm trying to say rest hard a little bit as well, because you don't want to burn yourself out at the same time too, but you still got to play hard there. And I love that, yeah, you talk about, I say this as well, about, business is really the vehicle for your life, right? It's like you don't want to just make everything about the business. It's like, what are you creating for you? And let's talk about the business, because you work with a lot of business owners. I see it all around, and some become very successful, but there's a lot of challenges, right? In getting to where they want to be, to a healthy state of profitability. That's probably what, it comes down to, right? In there, because they're just doing what they need to do. So what do you see as some of, the biggest challenges there, or what should they be focusing on? Let these business owners going, what are a few key things they're going, this is going to, what's going to move the needle the most to get you to that great stage of your business?
So Ethan, my answer will be probably different to what you would expect to hear. So for me, where I believe business owners miss the real piece is getting real clarity what their financial freedom target is. Because if you start with the business and go, let's just go in and chase revenue. Hey, let's just grow. Let's meet that need of significance so the world thinks I'm doing great. But why are we doing it? So for me, we start with getting super, super clear on their financial target. Like, what's the critical mass they need to create? Because the only reason you invest is for income. I don't give a shit what it is. The end game is to have income, cash flow. So you've got to go, well, how do I know what that is? Well, we take you through a process and work that number out. And then you go, well, what's the critical mass? What's the target? Once we are clear and you've got a plan that you're guaranteed to get with just putting the actual inputs in place, like actually putting the leading indicators in place to get you to that, then you reverse engineer the business. What's it got to do to give you that while living an amazing life? We don't do that. I didn't do that when I started. Hey, go in. Like I said, I started the business. I was working for someone. I can do this better. I want to be my own boss. I want to have control of my life. And we all know how hard that is. You want freedom, but hey, 100-hour weeks is normal in a business if you want to be successful. So we just go all in, and then it just takes over. Hey, we have a bit of success, then the identity crisis. Hey, this is meeting all my needs. So I'm loving this. So we've all got 6 human needs. Tony Robbins, my personal friend, a business partner, he teaches this better than anyone. The business meets the 6 human needs, so then we're addicted to it. So then we're just all in on our business, and we forget that the only reason a business should exist is to make profit so we can live and we can invest. Why are we investing? You're investing to get to a critical mass that you convert to cash flow, where you choose then to work, not have to work. You get to work versus have to work. For me, it doesn't mean you'll stop working. At least then you'll choose to work in something that lights you up. But people miss that. So if you don't have a plan, Ethan, what I've seen with the people that I work with, they will look at social media. They'll look at little Johnny. They'll look at someone else and go, oh, they've got $100 million. I need to go and have $200 million. Define it based on your family needs. And the number's not as big as people think it is. The people think it's such a big number, and it's not. Once you define it and go, wow, I'm going to actually have that in 3 years, 7 years, 10 years. Wow, life becomes a lot purposeful, because then you go, how do I live between now and then, knowing I'm going to get there? That for me is where a business owner would start, because I could start and say, hey, it's pretty easy. For me, I go into a business and go, give me the one thing you're doing amazing. Let's go all double down, triple down on the thing that you're doing amazing. Give me the one repair we need to do in your business. And then we just methodically, we don't move on until that's done. And if you just add 1 millimeter every time, the business will do what it's got to do. But if you're doing that without a definition of why you're doing the business, what's it meant to give you, I truly believe you've missed what the point is. It's very rare that a business owner will get their critical mass from selling the business. There's not many that actually build it and sell it and get their critical mass. If they're fortunate enough to do, awesome. But I've seen that percentage is less than 5%. So you've got to create this vehicle to create an investment environment, to create critical mass, to turn it into cash flow. And a key point with that too, Ethan, what gets you to your critical mass doesn't mean it's going to be the assets you invest in to give you the cash flow. People miss this point. So I'm going to say it again. The only reason we invest is to get income. Investment for income. That's the end game. So money coming in while you sleep, that's what it is. Then you get to choose if you want to work and do something that lights you up. So yeah, I will continue doing everything that I'm doing now because I'm loving it. And I'll never forget, I went to a course years ago, and one of the guys said, if you got more money and it didn't change what you did every day, that's when you're rich. And I stopped and looked at my life and I said, hey, what am I doing now that I would change if I got $10 billion tomorrow? And there was one thing, I was traveling. I was doing so much travel, and I changed it, travel to go and see clients around the country. And I said, my family is so important to me, my wife and kids, that I changed that. I said, I'm not traveling anymore. So that was a big thing. So yeah, that's where I would start with the business owner.
Yeah, awesome. I love the different way of thinking about it, because you always hear about reverse engineering numbers in your business, but that's just a number. It's like, oh, I want to make $1 million or whatever that is. It doesn't really mean anything, but it's like, I want to make $1 million a year in free cash flow, maybe personally. Then you start to go, okay, what needs to happen, right? For what assets and things that I need to invest in, or everything like that. So yeah, I love that point. Let's maybe talk a little bit about the wealth investing side here, right? Because there's a lot of different types of assets out there. You've mentioned property, obviously, which is the sort of tried and tested, here, there, and there's multiple different ways of doing property as well. What do you see as some good vehicles here that people should be thinking about? Obviously, they can speak to, advisors and things like that, that's for their situation of how they can get to that number that's right for them in what they want to make for that income.
The key with that, it depends. It depends on your stage in life. It depends on how much liquidity you've got. It depends on how much cash flow the business is generating. So for me, it really depends. So if you're like a 70-year-old person going, hey, I'm 70, I want to stop in a year's time or 2 years' time, your investments are going to be different to someone who's 30, who's got a cash flow producing business and so forth. So it really depends. I love leverage, so property in Australia and leverage. But I'm going to tell you, asset allocation is your only free lunch. You must asset allocate. Having all your eggs in one basket. I know the old saying, but I'm telling you, Ray Dalio, man, this guy, this is the most successful hedge fund manager on the planet. Every asset class in our lifetime is going to fall between 50 and 70%. Now, I say that to people and go, oh, not Australia, not property. Bullshit. Go back and have a look. Go and have a look what property's done for the last 100 years. Don't look at it in your time frame that you've been alive. Now, I'm 52 years old. If I just look at it and go, oh, properties just keep going up, look at it in history. Go back and look at patterns. So the only free lunch is asset allocation, because you don't know. There could be a black swan event. There could be something that occurs. So for me, I do love leverage, but I'm going to tell you this one, Ethan, and you're going to love this. The only time you will lose money on property is over leveraged. If you're over leveraged, and you can't stick it out, you will lose money. And that's similar to crypto, Bitcoin. The liquidity events that are occurring is because of leverage. Same with the share market. If you've got margin loans and you can't ride them out, that's how you lose. So for me, long game is I do not invest in any asset unless it's got a 10-year time frame. So I'm guaranteed success by having that decade planning. So for me, love leverage, love property. I'm a property advocate, but I force the value in any property that I buy. So my formula is buy cheap, add value, wait for the market. I'm forcing the value, and that's what I love. But there is so many things, and I'm doing some really cool things with my children. I've got a kid that's 24, 21, 18, and 15. So the most powerful thing I've ever learned is compounding. So to the point that if we're setting up accounts for the kids where they're just putting, every week an amount of money, because I set that up to go, hey, am I going to go out this weekend and have a big weekend, or am I going to buy something designer, or I can put it into my compounding asset allocation, and they get to see it and watch it and go, wow, this is now going to be worth $7.2 million when I'm at 55. That's the exciting piece. They've got time on their hands. I wish someone told me that at 20 years old, the power of compounding. And here's the next thing. From 20 to 40, the first 20 years, not a lot of wealth is made. from 40 to 60, the compounding effect of works. Holy shit, it is the most powerful, powerful thing. Time is crucial. So, Ethan, depending on the person, their stage in life, how much liquidity, what their critical mass number is, people think, oh, I've got to take all this risk. Look, short term equals risk for me. You go, hey, I need to make this amount of wealth, this amount of time frame. That's just risk. So, yeah, you might get lucky, and luck is involved. I don't give a shit in investing. Luck is involved. But I define luck as where preparation meets opportunity. You have to be prepared for opportunities that come up. And some of the deals that I bought a property where I made 150 million on the acquisition. That's unheard of. Why? I was prepared to pick up the opportunity when it came. And you go, but how do they come up? You've got to have a mindset, obviously, that you can attract it. But number two, you've got to be prepared. So asset allocation for me is important. And the last thing I want to say on that, I have 4 core principles. My number 1 rule, don't lose money. Protect the downside. You could bring me any investment and I will look at it first and go, how am I going to protect the downside? It is so powerful. Number 2, asymmetrical risk reward, where I want to bet $1 to make a $10 return. Number 3, tax. You must be tax efficient, because the only number that I care about is the net number. How much am I going to end up with? Not, hey, I'm making 10% returns. What's my net after tax return? And number 4, diversification across asset classes, across countries, cities. You must have even currencies. Diversification. They're the 4 core things that I look at, because I hear people that have got residential property. We're a very residential property investment country. So I say, where's your diversification? Commercial, boarding houses, retirement villages. There's so much you can access. So that's what I love about our country. I do love leverage. I love the power of compounding and time. And those 4 core principles that I use.
Yeah, I love that. That was a very powerful section. And I think one saying that I love hearing as well, you said about the mindset to be able to attract these opportunities. And then there's a great saying that I know is the universe only gives you what you can handle, right? So it's like, if an opportunity comes and you think, wow, I've never done this before, it's too big, but you wouldn't have got that opportunity if you couldn't handle it. So you've got to step out of the fear, right? And go, hey, I can make this happen. Who can help me with this if I haven't done it myself, and everything like that. So I think that's the key thing for people here. It's like, you've never done it until you've done it for the first time. And then it's like, okay, now how do we do it again? Or what else comes up, right? In that moment. So yeah.
Look, absolutely. And you said something before. It's resourcefulness, not so much resources. So you might find the best opportunity of a lifetime, but if you're a good human, you're going to have good resourcefulness. So I look at deals that are $200 million and I go, hey, if this deal came off with the other one of 100 million, I'm going to need to be resourceful to bring it. I'll make it happen, because my mindset is I can make that happen. So, and there's another formula, there's a thing again, Tony has taught me this state, story, strategy. Everyone wants the strategy, but if you don't manage your state, as in your mindset, your physiology, you're going to have a shitty story. If you've got a shitty story, for example, deal flow won't ever come to me. I can't ever find a great property deal, or, I can't find a great business to buy. If you have that story, you're never going to attract that type of deal. So the brain doesn't know what's real and not real. So you've got to be very, very careful what you tell the brain. That's why affirmations are so important. The brain doesn't know, and it's there to protect us. So it's going to go into a negative place. And here's the other thing with the brain. We always think the worst case scenario. The worst case scenario never occurs, but it goes there because it wants to protect us. So that's where you need proximity with people. And that's why, truly, Ethan, the Limitless X business, like the community of business owners, that's why I created that, to have this community where you've got business owners that want betterment in their life, who are living intentionally, who are going to go through shit, because that's what we all go through. Every one of us has shit going on. And having support, having the resourcefulness, not just the resources. So for me, it's so important. You mentioned resources before, and I wanted to mention that, because you don't have to have all the answers. I'm only as good as the people that are around me. But one of my gifts is I hire the best humans around in their character and their capability. But character for me is crucial. They've got to be good humans for me, and they've got to have the capability. And I look after them. After that, that's my core. They look after the talent underneath me. I just got to look after these core people, and there's 6 in my life. I do everything to look after them, give them certainty. The other 150 staff, their talent are going to be looked after by them. So that's my formula. So it's not for everyone, but for me, that's the formula. And mate, yeah, wealth, it starts, and we're going to touch on the other pillars, I'm sure. But wealth for me, clarity and why the business exists is so crucial to live the next part, which is, the life pillar.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, there's so many areas of life. I love the bit that you were talking about, the relationships, obviously getting the right people involved in your business or in your life, like those, key people there. One thing you quickly touched on that I think is worthy of a little bit more is like the people you hang around, right? Because as you know, like what we've learned from Tony and stuff is like you 1/5 of the 5 people you spend the most time with, right? So, Are you hanging around people that are playing small, or are you hanging around people that are playing big, right? And ideally bigger than you. So it's stretching you and getting into those rooms and being, aware of these bigger deals and things like that. So do you want to talk a little bit about relationships generally, right? About how we're building relationships with people in every area of our life and making sure we're building relationships with the right people that's going to help us to get us to where we want to be.
Oh, Ethan, probably the best thing I've ever learned in my life, proximity is power. And what does that mean? I'll give you a story, true story. My 16-year-old, Ethan, who's now 23, comes home one day and he says, "Hey, Dad, I'm going to the gym with Johnny." And I said, "Okay, no worries." And he said, "Jason's tagging along." Jason's not a good kid. He's a druggie. He's just bad news. And I said, "Hey, Ethan, I don't want you hanging around Jason." He goes, Dad, it's okay. He's not hanging around. He's just tagging along. And I said, "How am I going to explain this to him?" True story. He talked about this on his 21st birthday speech. I said, "Ethan," and I know, Ethan, my son's name's Ethan, which is so ironic. I said, "Ethan, I'm going to give you a bag of shit. I want to carry the bag of shit for 10 minutes, but you're not allowed to smell like shit." And he looked up at me like this and he's blinking. And he goes, "I'm going to smell like shit." I said, "That's exactly right. Who you hang around, you'll pick up their mannerisms, you pick up their language, you start to be influenced. So be careful of the proximity, because their blueprint, being their parents, their proximity, their school friends, affects how they are, which affects you directly." So for me, like you said, yeah, have context with the people you want to hang around with. For example, don't just go and find someone who's rich and go, "Oh, I've got to go and level up with these great business owners and great wealth people," because that's your context. Go and find someone. So you ready for this? I have 4 kids. I went and found a father and a mother that I went, wow, their relationship's so cool, and how they are with their kids. I hung around them. So I could be the best husband for my wife and the best father for my kids. That's the context. So have a room with context going, hey, what's the context of this friendship? Are they a great businessman? Are they a great human? Are they a great wealth creator? Are they a great health person? Have context with the people that are in your life. Massive for me. Context is massive. It's like someone saying to you, "Hey, Ethan, how are you?" You should say, "Oh, in what context? Are you talking about business? Are you talking about life? Are you talking about my health? Are you talking about..." Now, generally, where do we go? Straight to our business, because our identity is linked there. So for me, context is massive in the proximity of the people you're with. And look at me. This is a guy from Waratah in Newcastle, the Bronx, who's business partners with Tony fucking Robbins. I'm talking, that's unheard of. Proximity. Pure proximity.
Yeah.
So that's, it works. I'm living proof of it. And to have access and ring him for any issue that I've got in life, whether it's health. Mate, my father-in-law was not well and had cancer, and to ring Tony and go, "Hey, can you connect me with it?" Right, bang, connected it. And dealt with the cancer like that. Like that's proximity, that's resourcefulness, that's what it is. It is the most powerful thing I've learned, and I teach my children, and it's important in the people that are in my life.
Yeah, I love it. So powerful. And I think the key part here, right, is you talked a little bit about, just touched on health, which is definitely the big topic, right, that I love to talk about now too. And just firstly, before we go into it, like the money that we're making allows us to help the people like that, right? If they get these health challenges when they pop up, because it's not just about the lifestyle, it's when the little things pop up, and helping, whether it's your parents or the people around you. So to have that piece of impact, I think, is important, as well as obviously having our own health. But let's talk about health now? Because obviously if we don't have our health, we don't really have anything, right, in this
Oh,
life. So tell
yeah.
us more about how you view health.
Yeah, look, Ethan, the biggest thing for health for me, you've heard this analogy before and statement where they go, a healthy person's got 1,000 dreams, an unhealthy one has got one. But we miss that point, and I'm big on treat the food that you eat like your medicine, or medicine will become the food you eat. Look, I am so big on health because it's energy for me. The outcome of the health for me is energy, and I want to live. So my vision is I want to live to 150, and people laugh and go, "Oh, how's that, man?" I'm going to tell you something in a second about that, but hold on. But why? I want to see what the next 100 years brings, and I want to live a bigger life with my wife and kids. So that's the why that drives me, not the strategy. Man, I could tell you everything I do from the moment I get up to what I drink to training, red light therapy, sauna. I do everything, and my energy's high and I have no stimulants, zero stimulants in my life. But people miss that. They miss that point of why the business is there. Why am I creating wealth? Look, when we're not chasing wealth for we're not chasing for the things. It's the life experiences. It's the time we get back in helping people. But without your health, if you don't have that and it's not the priority, you just get to live. You just don't live. You don't live that fulfilled life, and that for me is massive. And I've said before, Ethan, you've heard this. Living longer is really easy. If you sleep well, you eat clean, and you train, man, it is so simple, but it's the inputs again. It's the leading indicators that you need to do, because people go to me, so my biological clock is 32. I'm 52 years old. And they go, "Oh, how do you do that? Give me the strategy." It's the leading indicators, the things that I do every day. It's not even thinking. It's not even, and I have the best food ever. I eat clean, but for me, I'm eating the best food ever. People go, "Oh, you're missing out on something." Of course not. I'm eating so beautifully, but I'm training and I'm enjoying it. The V2 Max, but I'll tell everyone, Ethan, every person that comes in my circle or is in Limitless or is in my 20 families that I do the one-on-one with, everyone must give me a baseline of where they are in their health. I do that with their business, I do that with their wealth, and they must do that with their health. So we've created this thing called this TriStar, where we put people through this program and they know exactly where they are, and we keep assessing them every quarter. And this is the whole holy grail for me to know whether they're moving forward. I know they'll move forward if they do the inputs, if they do the leading indicators. But everyone must get a baseline. I had a client that just did it, had a brain tumor. They caught it before it. So they do a baseline. You can do this, so many companies, Everlab, and just go and work out where you are in your health. And again, what's the outcome? Energy. Energy is everything. If you've got great energy, you attract deals, you attract relationships, you attract friendship, you attract everything in your life. You attract peace in your life. So health for me is it's not, people go, "Oh, it's the number one." It is, but I'm doing it every day. So it's just part of life now. So yeah, I do it all, mate. And my biggest biohack, if you're into saunas and ice plunges, and sauna trumps everything. Hot rock sauna, up to 100 degrees. You don't need to be in there a half an hour. I do 15 minutes. The ice plunge. Then the second thing is the hyperbaric chamber. Third thing is red light therapy. If you're one of the biggest biohacks, but there's so much on this, and I love it. And I didn't say before, if you just live 10 years, I'm guaranteeing 10 years. They're talking about 6 years. I was just at a conference with Peter Diamandis, but I'm giving you 10 years. If you don't get hit by a bus or ride a bike with no helmet, they are going to cure disease. We are going to live so much longer. The person that's going to live to 1,000 is already born. And people go, "Is that it?" It is so true. They've already tested on rats where they had a disease. They reversed the aging, took the rat from 40 years old to 20 years old. The disease was gone. They're now trialing it on humans. So that'll create another issue, but how many people are on the planet? But we're going to live a lot longer. So that's why, linking it back to cash flow, you need income to keep living longer. So anyway, I could talk all day about this topic. I could give you every biohack, everything that I do. I'm not an expert, but it's working for me. And like I said, I've got four kids that are that are energetic, and I play tennis, I play basketball, I play everything with them, and that's why. So I can, and I still kick their ass, so it's good.
I love it. You still got to have the competitiveness, right? And I think that's always a part of it to keep wanting more and improving. I think that's a good thing about sport, right? I play a lot of sport, soccer and tennis and stuff growing up, is that there's always an improvement element. And it's like similar to business, similar to life, right? It's like if you're not growing, you're dying, right? As Tony says there. Yeah.
Yeah, and they people say it, but they don't know how to go and implement it. So the biggest thing for me, and I keep referring back to Limitless because it's my passion. It's the one that pulls me to help people. Is that they say that, but they don't know how to execute. So I'm massive on execution. I'm not here just to educate people. I'm not here to give them coaching. Execution or get out of my proximity. If I want you to have the most joyful, exuberant, exciting, energetic life, do these inputs that we've created for you, that are for you, man, you just live an amazing life. So that's what I want for so many people. And yeah, it's the impact I want to create. And I'll tell you, Tony Robbins changed my life. He's truly, I've been, like I said, doing his stuff for the last 2 decades. What an amazing human. And then to be able to now live it and experience it in my own life and then help people, man, that lights me up. And like I said, he's coming to Australia this year. So anyway, we'll keep that as under wraps for now. But he's not coming back. He's coming back because of our partnership and our friendship. So I'm excited to bring him back and keep bringing him back. So it's going to be good.
Yeah, amazing times there on what you're doing. And I think one question that I'd like to ask that probably a lot of people are thinking about. Now, obviously, I've got my podcast. I deal with a lot of highly successful people as well. But I'd like to hear it from your perspective about building relationships and partnering with very high level people, right? The very successful people like the Tony Robbinses, right? Now, it doesn't have to be Tony specifically, but what should people be thinking about? Like when they're in these rooms, they're meeting these people, how can we add value? How can we go, what's going to be, something that we can build, something that could be game changing for our lives, and like, the relationship that you've now got with Tony as the example.
Yeah. And Ethan, it's really good. As we were growing up and, I started my business, you get intimidated when you walk into a room and there's someone who's really successful, really wealthy. And how I got through that was going, hey, what am I really good at? And it could have just been, I'm actually good at making people feel good. So work out what your unique proposition is, like what you're really good at, and just go all in on that. You don't have to compete with them. You don't have to go, hey, I've got 16 businesses and no chance. You know what? You're going to love this. Tony's partnership, the thing that attracted him to Paul Siderovski. It's crazy. It was my love for my wife, Tina. So I was at a relationship seminar with Tony, and he wanted to meet myself, I was like, what? Tony wants to meet me? Anyway, it was Tina with me, and he asked me a question, and I just spoke from the heart about my wife. And when you meet someone who's got that much love for someone other than themselves, the ego doesn't take over. That need for significance, and my love for Tina, it was truly the reason we partnered together, because everything else can take care of itself. But I do want to touch on something. I do so many negotiations and so many deals. The best advice I could ever give you, and I'll tell you, I did a negotiation course. Everyone should do a negotiation course, conference, because we negotiate in every part of our life. But if you just stand on the other people's shoes and go, hey, would I sign this deal if I was presented this deal? Would I do this deal? What do they actually want? If you can actually understand their needs, and I just did a deal on Monday where I'm understanding their needs. I changed the whole deal just by going, would I sign this deal? No. And I repurposed it, and we got a deal done because I took all their needs into consideration. And again, people go, oh, it's good to say that. I get that. You got to take their needs into consideration. How do you actually do it? Feel it. You have to step into it and feel it and go, would I feel and really sign this deal? So when I partnered with Tony, don't get me wrong, it was hard, mate. That's another podcast in itself. That's a whole other story. But wow, what a beautiful learning. And I do want to say one more. We fail every day. You're going to have shit that goes on. I truly look at the gift in everything. It's a learning. It's how do I get better? I anticipate I'm going to fail every day so I can deal with it. But if you expect life to be this, or expect this client to pay, or expect you're going to have suffering because shit happens. Everyone's got it going on. But you mentioned about, leveling up in a room where there's people at a high level. Find your true talent. And I start with beliefs. Not values. I've got our values for our kids. There's four of our values, but our beliefs for our family are my driving force. And that becomes then your mindset and your psychology. And for me, that's the most powerful thing. So hopefully that helps and answers that for you.
Yeah, definitely. I think there was amazing information there, and what I'd add is that when you understand what that thing is that you're really good at, is like showcase that authenticity, right? Because when you showcase that, that's what Tony connected with, and I think a lot of people don't always show it. So it's like be out there, show it, and you never know who's going to connect with you in that room, right? That could really change your life. And also, I think going to people, right? Like for example, I went to a couple of conferences in the US. I purposely went to the other end of the US for 4 hours just to have a meeting with someone, right?
Yeah.
And that has now turned into other things, other experiences, other that's going on from there. So it's like, don't just go for the conference. That's it. It's like, how do I maximize this trip? How do I meet someone, go to them and add value and be a great person at least? And then you never know where that will lead to, right? From there.
Yeah, Ethan, we're all the same. We all breathe. We're all going to die from exactly the same thing. Lack of oxygen to the brain. So we all speak. We all go to the toilet. We all do the same thing. Man, social media is the only thing that makes you feel not enough. Every human on the planet has the same fear. I'm not enough and I won't be loved. Who creates that? Social media. Because the loudest voice going, oh, you got to look like this or you got to have this. Man, that is not true. So for me, get your true north and your vision and power. And I keep talking about my wife, Tina. Like I'll tell you now, she's the number one for me before my kids. Because the stronger we are, the stronger the kids are. We truly believe that the stronger that Tina and I are, the stronger the kids will be. Even to the point where I've used the story and people hate it on the seminars that I do. I'm over the cliff and I'm holding Ethan, my oldest, and I'm holding my wife, and I've got to pull up only one. Who are you pulling up? Now let's hope I'm never in that situation, but I'm going to pull up my wife because it's that context. And I remember going away to her for Singapore for a weekend, and I was taking my daughter to ballet, and she goes, "Oh, you and Mum are going away again." And I said, "Yeah, you know the rules. The stronger mum and dad is, the stronger you are." And she rolled her eyes. What am I teaching her? I'm teaching her the guide to attract in her life. I'm teaching my boys. They've got girlfriends. How do you think they treat their girlfriends? Exactly how I'm treating Tina. So it's so powerful. Even to the point, one of the families brought their kids in the other day. And the girl was a beautiful 18-year-old girl, blonde girl. She was just a beautiful soul. And I said, and she was going to move to Queensland. And I said, you're going to fit beautifully up there. There's great people, energy. She was going to Broadbeach. And I said, but when you meet your significant partner, I said, go and have a look at the father and how the father's treating the mother. That's how you're going to get treated. So it is so powerful, but you said a word of authenticity. For me, Ethan, it's got to be authentic. Loyalty, authenticity for me, oh my God. They're massive for me. I'll tell you now, everything I eat, I don't eat any processed carbs. I don't take any stimulants. I don't do that for a camera. That's me. That's as raw and fucking real as it gets. So I don't love the unauthenticness that social media creates. But I'm just like media. If it bleeds, it reads. I remember when COVID, it was like the horrific unemployment rate. Man, just tell us the unemployment rate. Don't put the emotion to it. So you have to get that psychology, that mindset to be stronger in those pillars for your wealth, for your business, for these pillars of health, love, family, friends, giving, learning. You have to be emotionally intelligent, have mindset, have the right proximity to deal with shit as it comes up, because it will. I don't care who you are. It's always going to come up. But I have a belief that every problem can be solved. That's my belief. I don't care what it is. Every problem can be solved. So if you go through life that every problem can be solved, you're living a joyful life, not a suffering life. So I'm sorry, I know I go down a tangent, but it's so important for me.
Yeah, no, I love it, mate. Such a lot of power, and you're just speaking your truth, right? You're in flow there, which is amazing, and you share much gold with us here today, Paul. And I guess as we're wrapping up, what one key piece of advice would you like to give to all the entrepreneurs, business owners watching and listening today?
Get really clear with your significant partner and your family on what that life looks like for the next 2, 3, 4 decades. That's for you. and then go and live that intentional life. Don't let social media blind you to think that, hey, the billionaire status, there's 3,028 billionaires on the planet. Oh, I need to go and become a billionaire. Don't let that take away from what you want, and live that beautiful, purposeful life. And yeah, hopefully that helps the audience, and I hope they get heaps out of it.
Yeah, awesome, mate. No, it's been so awesome. And yeah, we connected, through our networks, learned about your awesome journey, what you've done. I remember seeing you on stage at UPW, and what you're creating now. It's been amazing. All the new businesses you're going to be bringing a lot of, big stars and Tony back to Australia, which is amazing. So you're really making an impact, right? And I think that's testament to you of you doing what you're doing, and really just wanting to help people remove suffering, like you said, and all of that. So, you are an awesome guy, and very grateful that I've had you on here, and look forward to partnering and seeing how we can, make a bigger impact together as well. So, yeah, very grateful, mate, and look forward to everything. So, yeah, Paul, how can people, find you and get in contact with you as well?
Mate, look, there's various businesses, so they can look me up. You'll find me either in the accounting business under Sidcore, or Limitless X. They're probably the two, but if you look me up, if someone wants to find me, they'll find me. If there's something I've resonated with them, they'll find me. That's what I truly believe. I want people to get up and do some work, because then they really want it. So yeah, anyone reaches out, I will give them my time, because people gave me their time when I was growing up and doing things. So I would love to help anyone who reaches out.
Yeah, beautiful. Definitely check out Paul there on the businesses. Find him making some big waves here in Australia and globally, mate. It's been a pleasure interviewing you. Thanks for being on the Business Growth Show.
Mate, thank you so much. Talk to you soon. Thank you.
Thank you for watching and listening to the Business Growth Show, where we talk about everything on business growth. And please like, subscribe, and leave us a 5-star review. You can find me on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube as Ethan Cassiotis, or visit my website, ethancassiotis.com. And if you want to grow and scale your business, you can reach out to me on any platform to see if we're a good fit. So until next time, remember that our business grows where we learn skills and take action using them in spite of fear. So let's create wealth and freedom together.